Graduated high school, married, started PC laptops.
All there.
Greetings, Dan the Laptop Man here. All PC laptops, desktop computers come with a lifetime parts and labor warranty. That way, if your computer blows up in 100 years, you're covered.
So the first year I lost like 25 grand in the red. My wife was like really pissed. But then the next year we did over $1 million in rev. So it's like, okay, we're on to something. You know?
Yeah. So 20,000 cold calls.
Cold calling was the key.
Hey, this is Dan the Laptop Man from PC Laptops. At PC Laptops, we love you!
So we just wanted to be absurd. Just think how much time people spend doom scrolling for stupid videos. And so we just made the stupid videos. And one thing that my grandma said to me, never have self-pity. If you're mentally capable and physically capable, if you can't be successful, you're just not trying. It stuck with me.
Tell me about the person you hired that made you lose $800,000 and you had to fire 75 people.
Never trust the process. People in Utah rely a lot on trust. I think that's critical.
Utah has the #1 economic outlook in the country 17 years running. It's consistently ranked in the top 10 places to live, and people are moving here in droves. Yet most people dismiss Utah as ski slopes, religious stereotypes, and awkward reality TV. This podcast pulls back the curtain on the Utah hidden in plain sight, the untold stories behind our most iconic businesses and our incredible entrepreneurial spirit. Whether you're a local searching for your next favorite spot, an entrepreneur searching for hard-won wisdom, or you're just Utah curious, these are the stories you won't hear anywhere else. This is UtahPreneur. Dan the Laptop Man.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Hey, man. Excited.
Yeah. So we're here at Utah Podcast Studio. If you guys haven't checked this place out, it's amazing. The lighting's perfect, and Dan was nice enough to join us on Memorial Day of all days.
Yeah, dude.
Take us back to your life in California. How old were you? What was your first entrepreneurial venture? And then take us all the way to how you ended up in Utah.
Boy, so when I was younger, one of the first things that happened was getting a computer by mistake. So my dad was this artist. He was an immigrant from China, came here. He helped the U.S. Army, got a job there, and they got him to America. He got a job for General Motors being a janitor.
Okay.
Went to Pasadena Art Center. But one day, he brought home a whole bunch of computers and put them in our garage. I'm like, what's that, Dad? He goes, well, you know, I freelance and I designed some instruction manuals and packaging for this company. It's kind of a fruity computer company called Apple. And so they gave us a bunch of computers for trade work. And I figured you needed one, your brother needed one, so here's a new computer. And I was really little. I was actually like 5, 6, really little.
Okay.
And so it was cool because they set up video games on it, and that got me into tech in the very beginning. And then I kind of played with that for a while, but the big entrepreneurial thing came during high school. Obviously in high school, you know, young men, we like to like date a lot of girls and hang out with your bros, and we lived near the beach. So we would go to Venice Beach, and I set up a table, and we would sell sunglasses. And we would get these cute girls from school and say, hey, put on roller skates and a bikini and skate up to couples and say, hey, you need some sunglasses. You just look for people with no sunglasses, and they're squinting, right? And we would buy these knockoff sunglasses, right, for like $1. We were importing them from Asia, and we sell them for like $5, $10, you know, that kind of thing. And buy two, get a discount type of thing.
Okay.
And the closure ratio was huge, and I'd pay these girls a couple bucks, you know, for each one we sold. We made a few bucks for each one we sold. And so we had like just grundles of employees, you know, informal, saying, hey,
everything's under the table.
Saying, hey, you know, can I put on roller skates and sell for you guys? And the cool thing is we'd also bring pizza there, and then all the kids from school would be there, and we would like have drinks and hang out at the beach. I mean, what more can you ask for? Hang out with your bros, you have great girls, and they're your friends, and
you're getting paid to be there.
Yeah, and make, you know, $1,000 a day.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot in, you know, the 80s, early 80s. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, especially in high school.
Yeah, so that's the beginning entrepreneurial endeavor.
Very cool. So you know that part in every podcast where the host begs you to review it? This is that part. We are wrapping up season 1 with 23 amazing guests, and we would love to hear what your favorite one was, what you like about the podcast, and any feedback you have as we get ready for season 2 launching this fall. Let's get into it. And can you speak more to kind of the influence your family had on your entrepreneurial career because of the both immigrant mentality, and then your dad went on to work at Mattel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of help with the Barbie packaging and
Barbie
he worked
and
on a lot of
the little cars, Matchbox cars and stuff like that.
wow.
And, in China, though, it was crazy. My dad was actually super well off when they were little. They had 7 servants. They paid. They weren't slaves, right? And 7 maids. They had a chauffeur. Their drivers, their car plate number was 3. A lot of people didn't have cars in China back then, right? And then there was this big war with Japan and then communists and all these kind of things. And they were killing people in the streets and all that. So they had to get out of there. But they lost everything. I mean, literally from living like a king to, washing floors.
Wow.
And so that's how they came here. And he was a big influence because seeing him work so hard. And one thing that my grandma said to me, she said, Dan, never have self-pity. She's like, if you're in America, the opportunity here is so grand that, if you can't be successful here, you just, if you're mentally capable and physically capable, if you can't be successful, you're just not trying. So it stuck with me because a lot of times I'd feel sorry for myself, and like most young people do, oh, I'm bummed out because of this or that. But I think, oh, grandma,
Yeah.
So self-pity is the thing to really, avoid. So I watched them work really hard. And my mom was a bank teller. And I was like, wow, there's got to be a smarter way to do this. Crazy thing is I had this one uncle who they call him a dry uncle because he's not like my dad's physical brother, but they came on the boats together, right?
Oh, okay.
And he started a bank in California called Far East National Bank. And I think they transacted for hundreds of millions of dollars. This is back in the 70s. I was like, well, how come he's always got like this big black Mercedes and he's got all this money and he's got all these real estate properties and he's always talking about stocks and real estate and, So I sat down with him a couple times and he told me the same thing. He's like, man, I'm just a lowly accountant and figure out how to start a bank. And it wasn't really that hard. You had people leaving China. They needed to put their money somewhere. They didn't trust banks. So they just gave it to me. I made a small percentage. I got them jobs, helped them find homes, got them home loans, and made a little bit of money. And they were cool with it on everything because I was helping them.
Yeah.
And they would refer people to me. So my dad's marketing skills, my uncle's mathematics.
Yeah.
Right? I try to combine that. And aren't we all just kind of a result of a lot of our influence of a lot of our elders, right?
And your mom was the one that came up with like We Love You at PC Laptops, right? Or
Yeah.
influenced by her?
She was always having a hard time checking her email and logging into Facebook. She loved Facebook, right? And so we would help her literally every weekend. I'd have to help her relog in and I'd say, okay, just click here. It's already memorized for. And she'd be like, what? And she goes, you're so patient, Tan. If you treat everyone like this, like you love them, then you're gonna do pretty good. So make sure all your guys and girls that work for you treat everybody like their mom. You probably will do fine. And so we did okay. Yeah.
Very cool. And that's where the tagline came from.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah. So how did you end up in Utah?
So teenager, I was really, liked computers when I was little, but then I got rowdy. We started making a lot of money selling these sunglasses and things, and started partying too much. Got in huge trouble. Went to juvenile hall for a bit, and then got exported to Utah after the juvenile hall stint. Right. And my sister took me in, and then I'm like, what do I do in Utah?
And you're 17 or 18 at this point?
15 and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got this great girlfriend, and so we started going to the swap meet, and we set up these tables, and we're selling Ginsu knives. I put on my karate gi, and I'd be like doing kung fu and cutting fruit and nut and things like that, and it was great. And again, we were making $1,000, $2,000 a day, so I'm like, it's not hard to do good. Got a job in the mall, right? Fashion Place Mall, Radio Shack. And this old guy comes in and he has this broken ham radio. So I changed the fuse on it. He's like, what do I owe you? I'm like, dude, it's nothing. It's just a used fuse. You're fine, bro. And he says, do you need a mentor? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you like Chinese food? I'm like, of course. So we go to the food court and I'm like, what'd you do? And he goes, I sold my company for over $1 billion and I just walked the mall. My wife passed away and, it's kind of lonely. So I like to, help people, mentor people. I'm like, what do you charge? Yeah. Can't afford you. He's like, nothing, just fix my ham radio once in a while. I'm like, cool. But after that mentorship started, he gave me a blueprint of exactly what I needed to do. And within about 3.5 years or so, I made my first $1 million. And And there you go.
I heard somewhere, and maybe I understood it wrong, but you were sort of like, you weren't creating enough spectacle at the swap meet, and that's how you came up with the idea to start doing kung fu and like chopping the...
Yeah, I would just set up a table and just be like, you know how people sit there, like vendors, you've been to like, you know.
They're on their phone.
Yeah.
Not,
and they're
not
just
back
like,
then,
hey,
probably.
do you want to buy? Here's my wares.
Yeah.
But people just want to be entertained, right? And so again, I finally got rid of the chair. I like to sell. Whenever I sell standing up, right?
Yeah.
And then just started joking around, and people started laughing.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's incredible. This guy's good with nunchucks, knives, swords, samurai swords. I remember we got this rubber dummy, and I was like, you can get these brass knuckles and punch this rubber dummy. Check it out. You can punch it. Put them on. Try it. And
Yeah.
people were like, that's cool. How much are they? I'm like, $10. And they're like, cool. I'm like, or 2 for 15.
Nice.
And they're like, heck yeah, give me a pair. You know. And the brass knuckles cost us $1 or $2, so
Okay.
good deal for them. And it was cheaper for them than ordering mail order and waiting. And back then it was like 2 months to get something mail ordered, you know.
I see. So what were the biggest unlocks that this Billionaire in the mall helped you with over the next 3 years?
The easiest one is this. You know, you see a lot of kids going, whether they're going to college or being an entrepreneur or whatever it is, they're kind of drifting, right?
Sure.
And so he said, get very clear on your physical, financial, and spiritual goals and map out your action plan and schedule them. So back then he told me to get this Franklin day planner, right? It was like
Nice.
before phones. I would plan the activities. I'd be like, okay, swap meet on weekends, or, you know, during the week I'm going to do this. And then, you know, momentum started building from getting clear. Back that are in their early 20s or in their teens, and they're going to college, and you ask, so what do you want to be? What are you going to college for? What are you taking all this debt for? And they're like, I'm just taking my generals. Generally what? Are you just floating around eating pizza and getting drunk? Like, what do you want to be? And so if you're wasting time in college without knowing what you want to be, and college, I think is good for the social interaction, but you can be socially interactive out of college nowadays, right? But a lot of these degrees are a waste of money. They build huge student debt. And so unless you're an accountant, doctor, you know, they say that kind
Learn
of
10 times more your first year working than you will in 4 years of school.
Just go to work. I worked in a brick factory out here and all kinds of weird concert security.
Yeah.
Just to try to find myself a little bit. And, you know.
You were, what, 16, 17 when you met this Billionaire?
About, what, 16, 17 in there, yeah. 16
Okay.
and a half, yeah.
And when did you start PC laptops? That was the next like big move you made, right?
Well, the other move is first he said, Radio Shack's too small. Like, you love computer stuff, right? So go work for a bigger firm. So I worked for this place called Silo, which is like a Best Buy.
Okay.
And became the #1 sales guy out of 4,000 guys. But it wasn't that easy. I was actually in the lowest 5% before I was the top.
Okay.
And there's this crazy old manager named Ron Hawkins. He used to smoke Newports and blow smoke in our face and yell at us at lunch. He's like, dude, you suck. And I'm like, I suck. And then Greg, the big boss, would come in, and Greg would be like, you really suck. And they would just tell me I suck.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, okay, guys, I suck. So how do I not suck? Like, be terrible. And they're like, well, go hang out with those guys that are making 100,000+ a year, man. It's 1980 something. If you can't make 100,000 a year, you suck. So they're still friends today. So I took this guy, Manny, Mike Banks, and this guy named Jason Robles. They were the top 3 guys to lunch. And it was crazy that these guys were making huge money. And I was like, why do I suck so bad? So Manny is like, dude, the key is warranties. People want a good warranty, man. Like, if they buy a camcorder or a TV, if that blows up, it's like TV's $5,000. It's like $3,000 to fix the thing, plus labor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I remember Jason though, which is crazy. He's like, dude, it's add-ons, dude. Like, if they come in to buy a washing machine, dude, sell them a computer too, dude. Like, just, they're here because they need things.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have great financing, 0 interest financing. Like, why aren't you offering that? So his thing was selling a lot of things with financing. And then there's this guy, Mike Banks, and he's like, dude, it's all about people liking you, dude. You can, like, tell them jokes, get to know them, and they're going to become your friends, and they're going to come back and ask for you. You're going to have this big clientele. So I just did all those 3 things that those guys told me to do. And in, what was it, like a few months or whatever, I became the top sales guy, and I held it for years and years. And it was great. I was just printing money. They're like, how do you do it, Dan? I'm like, I don't know. Buy those guys a hamburger, man. They'll teach you. And then those guys are like, man, we want to be like Dan. And they're still friends today, which is kind of funny. They're still all alive, which is great. So that's how I became the guy. there out of 4,000 salespeople, but then they went out of business. They were owned by a company in the UK. So I got their database. I had sold, I don't know, 20 something thousand computers or something. And
where was this original location you worked at?
this is in Cottonwood.
Okay,
Right
nice.
there. Where Cottonwood Mall used to be. They're building
okay.
apartments now.
Oh, yeah.
So I got this database and I cold called 20,000 people.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, you got a computer? If you need service, I'll honor your service warranty for a lifetime. I don't care that you bought it at Silo. I sold it to you, man. So the first year I lost like 25 grand in the red. And my wife was like really pissed. And she's like, what are you doing, dude?
And is this wife the girlfriend that would go to the swap meets with you?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
But then the next year we did over $1 million in rev. So it's like, okay, we're on to something, you know? Because people, they rewarded that. They wanted to reciprocate. They're like, dude, guy went on his way to take care of me. And all I said, I put a little sticker on their computer that the number is still the same.
Yeah.
1-877-596-SAVE.
Nice.
It's the same number.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can call it. You'll get our stores. Crazy.
I love it.
Yeah.
So 20,000 cold calls.
Yeah, that's over a long time. I mean,
Okay.
cold calling was the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the intro? Like,
Oh, hey guys, this is Dan. Remember I sold you a computer a long time ago? You bought one from Silo though, but you probably thought you were screwed.
yeah.
And I want to adopt you. So is everything running good on it? If you'd like, I'd like to do a free tune-up on your computer and make sure everything's running tip-top. Is that cool? I could be out there today.
Nice. And you were running everything from your garage, like driving.
Oh, I was driving everywhere. Like
Wow.
It was insane. But after a while, finally, I rented a little location so people could depot drop off, and then hired a couple guys.
Nice.
But it was like
And you're what, 19?
19, 20, yeah, 19, 20 kind of.
And were you already married?
Yes, got married at 19.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like graduated high school, married, started PC laptops, like all within a year and a half.
All there.
How did you meet your wife?
I went to Salt Lake Community College part-time.
Okay.
And I wanted to study like business and accounting stuff so I would know how to do the math, you know. Mm-hmm. And met her there, and it was cool.
Okay. And did you graduate?
Not from Salt Lake Community College, and then I went to the U for a little bit, trying to take some more stuff. Then dropped out, and then got this Stanford graduate certificate. And what happened is once I hit our company, hit the Inc. 500,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, come out, and you can teach our professors. So there's a bunch of psycho entrepreneurs. Right? The 1-800-GOT-JUNK guy was there when he was getting started.
Nice.
So we hung out there, partied a lot, and taught the professors, and they gave us this little certificate and stuff.
So funny. All these big universities really want to claim you. They want their brand on you once you've been successful, but like they don't want to touch you beforehand.
Well, unless you take a giant loan or something.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
your parents are really rich, right?
It's either like pay hundreds of thousands for this brand or, go make hundreds of thousands or millions and then they'll just give it to you for free.
There's just an agency, a marketing agency,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just trying to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Unless it's the right the stars align or something.
Yeah. Okay, so $1 million in revenue your second year.
Yeah.
Then when did you start making the like PC laptops, We Love You, Spock commercials and cross-dressing commercials and all the commercials?
Just through time, there was a competitor actually. His name was Superdell,
Okay.
and he had these totally awesome computer stores. He was actually my UPS shipping guy.
Okay.
Next door, he had a shipping store, and one day he started selling computers, and I was like, "What are you doing, bro?" And we were kind of pissed off at each other for a couple years. Mm-hmm. And then and I said, our company name was actually Elite Systems at the time. And then he's like, man, you're not totally awesome, dude. You suck. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, tell you what, you sell laptops, I'll sell desktops, and we can get along just fine.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So I gave him one of my biggest accounts for desktops, corporate. And then he gave me all his laptop people. And he was telling his guys, send laptops to that Dan dude. And then he got whatever trouble he got into. That's a whole different story. But then he's like, dude, will you take over some of my leases and things like that? I'm not selling computers anymore. So we ended up calling it PC Laptops and then opening more locations and hiring a good amount of his people, I think around 30 to 50 or something like that. Some good amount of his employees that were really good. So
Wow.
that was cool.
Yeah, very cool.
It was fun.
And do you own any of the PC laptops real estate?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you start? Because you're big into commercial real estate and just real estate in general now. When did you start buying versus leasing, and how did that play into the revenue you were making, everything?
Well, the plan was the old mentor guy, was told me like, dude, McDonald's is not just McDonald's because they sell burgers. It's because they own their real estate too.
Yeah.
So you want to start talking to your landlords and planting the seed. And we were in, I think, these stores more than 10 years. And finally, landlords were getting old. Yeah. And they're like, hey, son, you want to maybe buy my building? So I ended up buying one building and then a few. And it turned out pretty good. And it's cool because I knew all the tenants. So they're like, ooh, you're our new landlord? That's cool. You're cool. Like,
yeah, that's great. Great way to get into it.
It wasn't magical, though.
Yeah.
It's just grindy,
Yeah.
There's no thing magic. There's no magic, man.
Yeah. You're on record saying in the last 10 years or so, you've done like 600 million in sales between PC laptops.
All companies, so transactional, right?
Yeah. What was revenue looking like in the first? Because PC laptops been around like what, 32 years?
Just 92.
Okay. So 33 this year.
Yeah, quite a while.
Oh yeah. What did revenue look like? First year was negative 25K. Next year was $1 million. With the next
that was that was profitability.
Yeah.
Was made negative 25,000.
Yeah.
The next year when we did $1 million in revenue, the net was approximately about 140 grand. Revenue is not profit. You 100%. Have to pay your employees and rent and all that.
But it sounds so much better if I say negative 25 to $1 million,
Yeah.
All those gurus love that.
It scales through time.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that year that we did make money, I bought my first duplex.
Okay.
So that was cool.
Very cool. You live in one side?
I lived in one side, rented out the other. It was like 57.5. That was the price, 57,500. And I charged one guy, I think it was like $400 a month. But the lease said that he had to like do all the yard work. I'm terrible at it. And maintain the property and, keep it nice. So,
Genius.
So it was a good deal.
Where was that duplex?
Sugar House.
Nice.
Roosevelt Avenue.
Great spot.
Yeah.
Great spot. The process of growing, when you look back on the first 15, 20 years of PC laptops, what are the 2 or 3 things that stand out? Like this made us grow, and everything else kind of fades in comparison to these tactics that we used.
It's all demand, right? So first, like, is it a technology that people are demanding? Right now, it's AI, crypto, quantum computing. I mean, that's the future.
Yeah.
And so back in the 90s, the internet was just starting, right? And so we're like, well, people need computers to do internet stuff and computing, and there's huge demand.
Yeah.
And so that cycle is more mature now. So that's why, you've seen me focus a lot since 2014 on blockchain, because I believe that's the future.
Got it.
Yeah. So you just got to be like, where's the wind going?
Yeah.
A little bit, but it doesn't mean that a core business, like I would not start a computer company right now. There's like no way. It's just too matured out.
Yeah.
And there's so much competition, but there's very few people that are actually good with blockchain or actually good with AI. There's a lot of people who yabber. Yeah. But people that are actually competent is very small.
Okay. So you're just looking for the starving crowd.
Yeah, there's a demand cycle. Like right now, there's health and fitness. There's a huge vacuum in demand for wellness and things like that. Or there's also food like nootropics, right? Supplements. There's a huge
peptides,
huge demand for that. Even like drinks and vitamins and NAD plus and cold plunges and all that. But that's starting to get fully saturated. Now every Joe Blow has got cold plunge. It's kind of like, I joke, it's like Korean barbecue or something. It's like, first you see one or sushi, and like in the 90s there's like a couple sushi bars that were good in Utah, and now there's like one at every corner. Yeah. So now would be a stupid time to open a sushi bar unless you're like Magic.
Yeah. Okay, I love that, and I love the honesty in there, because a lot of people would talk about how awesome they were, and that's why it succeeded. But you were just in the right place at the right time, essentially.
That's how life is, though. I mean, you're a surfer, dude. It's like, where are the waves? What beach? And what's the timing on that? Is the weather good? I mean, that helps a lot. Not saying that you can't make money like swimming against the current, but that's pretty freaking hard, swimming against the ocean.
So when did you start the custom like build company? I forget the name. Sorry.
Xidax. Xidax. It was about 13 years ago, almost 14. Just because I felt like e-com was going to outpace retail. Okay. And so we started moving that, to that. And it's been very, very nice.
And for people who don't know, tell them the difference between I mean, obviously tons of differences, but PC laptops is kind of the consumer like standard. We're just selling these computers that everybody wants, and Xidax is more custom builds, right?
Both.
Okay.
The companies do essentially similar things.
Okay.
It's just one is online and one is retail. People like retail, typically people that want a human interaction. So let's say your computer's tripping out and you want to sit down with someone, show me what's going on. I can't get my video card working with this game, this program, this software. I can't log in my email. You like PC laptops. Xidax is really, it tends to skew a little bit more male and younger.
Okay.
Because there you have a lot of gamers.
Yeah.
Who want to play a lot of games, or developers and coders and programmers.
Sure.
Or like the, MrBeasts and Steve Aoki's and people like that. Those are Xidax, demo. People who follow those type of people tend to like Xidax. And it's more exciting and fun. But for practical sake, PC laptops is a superior experience because you get a real human being to help you when you're stuck. And when you have to ship away a computer, it's really not as convenient as just walking in and be like, fix it, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't, it's pretty tough to do because retail has a lot of overhead costs. You have employees, they're U.S. employees. You got to pay them fair. You got to give them good insurance, a good work environment. You have rent, a lot of operating costs. So margins are very slim for retail.
Yeah. You've served some pretty cool customers on the Xidax side.
Yeah.
You've built a computer for MrBeast, right?
A whole bunch. That dude is awesome. He's fun.
Did you fly out to, where's he at, Greenville or next to Greenville?
No, he just had his people order just a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty busy guy. And so he ordered a whole bunch. And then they're like, oh, here's a cool video. We're giving away a whole container of them. He's outrageously awesome. So that was cool. And then Aoki, Steve, DJ guy, but he loves to play Call of Duty a lot, right? So, there we go.
And did they just find you online, or did someone put you in touch with them?
Most of those people were referrals by friends or who had our computers, because typically someone has a friend who's like an expert with a computer. And they're like, oh man, those guys are cool. You'll like them. A
couple unique things. I watched your Gephardt approved video from like probably 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Yeah,
I like Gephardt.
Where's that? Where's the Gephardt approved nowadays? We need to bring that back to Utah.
Seen him for a while.
In his interview, when you walked into PC laptops, everyone in this store had to be like, "Hello" or something, right?
Yeah, you got to greet people.
So, but like the whole store, it's like free meal at Cafe Rio or like extra meat when they all yell.
Yeah.
Was it that, like, is that the rule still to this day at PC laptops?
Oh, yeah. You try to get the guys to do it. Sometimes they're knuckleheads, but
okay.
People want to be acknowledged, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they should be like, whoa, like, because here's the thing. Walk into any big box store or like a Costco or something, which are fine, but walk in, like, trying to find someone to help you is really hard.
Yeah.
Like walk around a warehouse store and try to find someone who really is enthusiastically wanting to solve your problems.
Yeah.
Is very rare. And if someone is like that, man, I better go hire that person.
Yeah. Come work for me.
Yeah.
What else in terms of like team and culture? As you said, like you have tons of employees, you've hired, you've fired,
it's crazy.
Done, probably more than 99% of entrepreneurs will ever do in that department. What are your biggest takeaways and advice you have for somebody else looking to hire U.S. employees nowadays?
Social media. It's so great. Like, I needed a few more sales guys because we're expanding in some areas. And I'll make a video and be like, hey, 50 to 100 grand plus a year, just depending on, what you can do. But the cool thing is you get me as a mentor too. I don't take on students anymore. I'm too full. But that's what you get. So if you're interested, direct message me. So then the inbox will fill. And, usually in a day we're full. So
wow.
That's recruiting.
Yeah.
And I always just ask them, send a 1-minute video why you want to work with us, and why we should hire you. 1 minute. And you can tell right off the bat, do they got it? Do they have intelligence, integrity, energy, or do they suck?
Yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Are they in their bedroom with like dirty clothes on the bed behind them, or did they take the time to get a decent background and like actually think about what they were going to say?
Yeah, I had this one kid, and it's speed of response. Some guys like, I'll get it to you.
Yeah.
2 weeks go by.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I'm not hiring that dude.
Yeah.
But then I have one guy sent it literally in 15 minutes, and it was crazy. He like put on this really nice shirt. He had a microphone, like a podcast, those
Nice.
little, portable clip-on ones and all that. His hair was all nice. He had a beautiful background. It was all professional.
Yeah.
And he was just authentic.
Wow.
And I told my VP, hire him now. Well, we have an interview him. We'll do the background check. If he's not on crack, hire him. You know? And he's like, okay, you're the boss. I'm like, yeah.
And what about the culture and retention side? Like, what do you do to make it a good experience to work at?
We've got guys who've been with us over 17 years or something crazy like that. And,
Wow.
you know, and really we have a few of our guys that have become multi-millionaires from investing. And so when we do our sales meetings, I spend a lot of time showing them at least what I'm doing. And a lot of them mirror that, you know.
Smart.
And I thought by teaching people how to make a lot of money with investing that if they made $1 million, they would just leave. And I asked one of my guys, well, why are you still here? He goes, well, I want to know what you're working on all the time because you're never working on like exactly the same deals.
Yeah.
And I said, well, yeah, you know. And he goes, and it would be too expensive. If you charge $50,000 a month for mentoring, I'm just outrageous with my prices because I don't want students.
Yeah.
So some people pay it and they make money, hopefully. So
Yeah.
so with my guys, I'm like, you'd have to spend more than $500,000 a year if you wanted my one-on-one. So like,
Yeah.
you get it.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I know. That's why. He goes, so unless I can make $500,000 or more a year somewhere else, then
This is worth it.
This is way worth it. I'm saving that because I get it, you know.
Nice. Tell me about the person you hired that made you lose $800,000 in a few months and you had to fire 75 people.
Oh, yeah. So that's just not paying attention to ad spend and PPC advertising.
Okay.
So I opened this call center to do tech support so you can remotely get into people's computers and help them and all that. And I hired some really dynamic people. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's just one person, but you had a couple executives that were just making so much money that just weren't paying attention to the ad spend. So you have a CPA, cost per acquisition of client, you know, and they were just not paying attention to it. And they're like, look, we're doing we're doing millions and millions. And I'm like, that's great. Revenue is not profit.
Yeah.
You know? And so I thought it was cadenced. I thought it was system processed, and my miss. It was actually my fault. It wasn't that guy's fault solely. I let it get to that point. And then Google changed the law where you couldn't advertise remote tech support because you had all the scammers out of India.
Oh, wow.
So Google's like, so then suddenly we had no leads.
Yeah.
So it kind of blew that project up.
Yeah. Was it the hire or the mismanagement or both that contributed to that? Like, it sounds like that was
All.
You almost shut your doors because of it, right?
To sum it up, it's just me as the CEO not paying enough attention.
Okay.
Just being like, oh, it's running good. Hey, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just trust the process.
Yeah.
Like, never trust the process.
Yeah.
Your process has to be actively monitored, measured, you know, and improved upon.
Yeah.
There's no trust the process. You'll die that way. Don't you hate that when people say trust the process? Oh my gosh. I'm like, shut up. Don't. It's like when people say to be honest with you. It's like, always be honest. What the heck's your problem, bro? What, are you lying 90% of the time and you have to say I'm going to be honest right now? Come on, man.
Another interview we did, Jake Badsgaard, Disruptive Advertising. I'm not sure if you know him. He built a massive PPC agency, $25 million a year. And they did it basically all off of just doing an audit of the existing advertising and saying, this is what's working, this is what not, here's how to track it. And he realized that like the biggest companies in the world didn't know how to track their advertising. So for anyone listening, and I've heard story after story after story of mismanagement of ad spend like this, it's a great foot in the door to be like, let me just look at it. You don't know if your executive team's, spending too much.
The problem with that, because we've worked with a lot of agencies, with a lot of different companies though, is every agency is going to find a problem with your system process. There's nobody's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And then you'll switch over and there's no change.
Yeah.
It's stasis. That's been my experience 99.9% of the time. I'm under the theory that the only way to have really good PPC and SEO management and good measurement with like meta ads or everything is in-house.
Yeah.
But then again, if they're really, really good, you're going to have to pay them really, really good.
Yeah. What you can do is hire the agency, hire the in-house person, pit them against each other and see who wins.
Now, most agencies suck.
Yeah. Yeah. The
I
incentives
cannot
are
name one
misaligned.
agency that doesn't suck.
Yeah. Yeah. So eventually moving in-house, but if you need them for,
You know what these
period of
agencies
time.
do? They get you on there. They put all their attention, even their CEOs on it.
Yeah.
They get it like performing, or they try to get it performing pretty well the first few months, though. Then they set it and forget it and go get a new company, and then they just stop watching your stuff, and it deteriorates the garbage, and then you fire them. But hopefully, what they've done is they've got their salespeople bringing on all these new suckers.
Yeah.
It's screwed up.
Yeah. For anyone listening, if you can do the opposite of that, you'll do very well.
You'll be a billionaire.
When did the crypto fund and kind of that side of things come about?
2014. What happened? Again, this was a mistake. So we bought too many video cards because we thought there was going to be a shortage. We maxed our credit lines, and I was like, "What are we going to do?" So I decided to hook those up to mine crypto. So we were mining Dogecoin in 2014 and converting it to Bitcoin. And we had 4,000 something miners going. It was rocking, man.
Wow.
And so from 14 to 17, it was great. And Bitcoins were like about $170 to $350 each. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's insane.
But we had to hook up those GPUs to do something because we had too many in stock. And there was supposed to be a shortage, but there was an overage.
Yeah.
But then it was kind of funny. Then there was a shortage because everybody found out you can make a lot of money mining crypto. So got a little bit of lucky.
Yeah. Well, you were just poised to take advantage of that, and like imagine you'd just been like, oh, whatever,
Better than out of business. I mean, the inventory's sitting there and no one's buying it hardly. So tariffs affect business not as much. For us, we've been pretty good about navigating the supply side.
Yeah.
It's consumer sentiment. Consumers get worried.
Yeah.
They're like, where's the economy going? Is inflation going up? Is it going down? Why are mortgage rates so high? So sometimes it makes them a little bit hesitant to do as many smooth transactions,
Yeah.
You can look at the VIX, the VIX index, or for crypto, the fear and greed index.
Yeah.
And you can get a measure of how the mood of the people are out there, right?
Okay. You mined a bunch of Bitcoin, but then you started a fund where you help manage people's money, right?
Yeah. So after we built the huge Bitcoin mining facility, mined a ton of crypto.
Yeah.
I started having a lot of wealthy entrepreneurs ask me, "Hey, dude, how can I invest in crypto?" So I'd be like, "I'm not going to manage your money. I'm not a financial advisor. So, but I'm buying this and that and this and that." And they would come back to me, "Dude, I made so much money. Dude, I made so much money." I'm like, "Cool." And then finally, I met John Pennington and Bridger Pennington. Bridger Pennington is the Ugly Unicorn, which is our hedge fund, crypto hedge fund. He's my partner in it.
Oh, nice.
His dad built a fund called Bridge.
Yeah.
And 48 billion AUM, huge. So he's like, you should start a hedge fund, And Bridger's like, I'll do it with you. And he's like, yeah, Bridger's good because Bridger has sold 2 hedge funds before.
Yeah.
So we started that in 22.
Okay. Nice.
Raised a good amount of capital and scaled it pretty good. And it's been a good time. So we're pretty excited about where this year's going,
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a great run just in the last couple months. And Bridger, that's for anyone listening who that sounds familiar. It's Fund Launch Secrets may have been the kind of public-facing brand that he has that you know about, where he helps people set up funds.
Yeah, he's good at it.
There's a twist, kind of what you do with Ugly Unicorn, though, where it's not as much about the funds going up, right? It's about like exchanging, or I read something on this. I didn't fully understand it.
Well, a couple of things. One, obviously, people can just buy Bitcoins on their own.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's like buying gold coins or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. We manage mid-size and small cap blockchain and token projects. So that's where there's a lot of money that can be lost and a lot that can be gained. It's a lot riskier.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody. But people want exposure there because if, let's say, Bitcoin doubles or triples, you could have exponential growth in smaller cap, just like in tech stocks and that.
Yeah.
So that's what Bridger and I manage. With a lot of our crypto, when we hold it, we treat it like real estate. And that, imagine if you bought a building, if you're not collecting rent on the building and you're just praying for the building to go up in value, probably will go up in value through time if it's in a good spot. But if you didn't collect rents, you'd be crazy. So we provide liquidity to decentralized exchanges, meaning if someone wants to, let's say, exchange Ethereum for Solana, just some example there, you're going to need both ends of that token. So we provide liquidity to those companies, and we make yield off of it.
Okay.
So we collect a little rent.
Nice.
So instead of just sitting on it, we're growing it as well, a lot of it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And the first, if I understand correctly, the first year you were negative, and then the next 2 years were like insanely.
Really great. First year was negative. We lost a little over 17.5%, almost 18%. But that was actually the year we're proud of because Bitcoin during that same time period corrected over 45%.
Wow.
So we did pretty good.
Yeah.
So we were proud of because anybody can make money going up, but
Yeah.
can you not totally lose when it's going down?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you have like any investors like the in The Big Short calling Michael Burry like, give me my money back?
Most of our investors are just totally happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've had a few investors exit, but they're typically because their business was doing bad and they needed liquidity. If our investors need their money because they have a emergency event, though, we're going to try to make it as available as we can, as quick as we can.
So with the time we have left, I'd love to go into the investing lessons that you give your team and the people that you mentor. You said it costs like upwards of $500,000 a year to learn this stuff. I'd love to get a 15-minute masterclass for the listeners.
Well, first thing is this. Keep your burn rate or your operating costs for your life low. So before you go buy a Lambo or nice Beamer or whatever you're going to do, like just drive a piece of crap that's paid for. That's a few $1,000s.
Sure.
And invest and eat at home. Right. Mm-hmm. That's important because that extra money is worth a lot in the future if deployed properly. Also, another thing is you want to treat investing like a bill. So let's say you're buying 3 tech stocks or 5 or 2 or 3 cryptos. Let's say you're buying Bitcoins and Ethereum, even a couple, right? Not financial advice, but let's just say you're buying those. Every single month, you want to set an allocated dollar amount that you invest. So like for Netflix or whatever, maybe you're spending $50 a month for your family. Well, instead, cancel your Netflix, divert $50 towards buying whatever you're going to buy in tech, right? And just do that every month. Now, if you have a really just kick butt, let's say you're commission-based and you have a great month and you have extra dough, deploy some more of that, and just keep doing that. And you'll find 5 years, 10 years down the road, you're probably happy if you've bought good companies and good projects. It's the same thing with real estate as well. I'm not into house flipping. I don't flip homes.
It's more about buy and hold.
Buy and hold's great. That's the way to go.
I've heard you talk about the 40-40-20 rule.
Oh, how investment allocation?
Yeah.
And that depends really on age. So that varies. And however you bake it out. First of all, I always start with people want to have fun and live experiences. So if you make X number of dollars, the most you should waste on fun is 10% of your net income. You want to really just get the percentage of allocation to investing the highest. Now, the 40-40-20 and breakout is risk tolerance. So let's say it would be 40% more very, very boring stuff, right? Whether it be real estate. Real estate is expensive to get into. So maybe it's like S&P 500 index stocks or something that's really boring, right?
Yeah.
And then 40% in mid-risk, right? And that would be maybe some mid-cap or individual stocks and things like that. And 20% in pure stupidity, speculative stuff.
Yeah, moonshots.
Yeah, crypto is kind of that. You want to have some exposure to the insane. Now, the younger you are, the more percentage you can expose to insane. If you're an old guy and you need it to live on, you probably don't want as much as you want to be off risk.
Do you disagree with the advice to just S&P and chill for the rest of your life, like 100% in an index fund and just keep plodding along there?
Yeah, I disagree with that because it shouldn't just be S&P. My kids ask me the same question. I'm like, well, S&P, NASDAQ too. If you just want to be lazy with stocks, great. S&P, NASDAQ, right?
Okay.
Coinbase just replaced Discover Card on the S&P 500, so that you got speculative exposure too, right? But also you want to have crypto, which is great. And, when you have enough money, you can do asset transfer into maybe buying some real estate.
Okay.
Just so you're decently well-rounded, because crypto may go to zero. Certain stocks can drop significantly. Real estate can drop. A lot of people say don't diversify. I think it's not a bad idea to be a little diversified.
And when it comes to finding those moonshots for the average retail investor,
don't waste your time. Unless that's your job.
Okay.
Because you're going to get your butt kicked.
But you said 20% in moonshots.
Well, all crypto is moonshots.
Okay.
Even Bitcoin is a moonshot. Bitcoin has dropped 80% like multiple times.
Yeah.
That's pretty risky.
Okay.
Right. But if they're buying like Dodo Bird coin or something, you pretty much count that as your Vegas money.
Yeah.
And you're betting on, 7.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, maybe it hits, but probably not.
Okay.
Not long term.
Yeah, not for me anyway. No. Whenever I touch it, it just goes down.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's like not fun when you lose.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a free buffet.
Yeah.
You know?
Another interesting thing about you is your philosophy on mentorship and just paying for courses and education in general. Tell us about that. What do you think about education? How should somebody educate themselves in today's world? You mentioned college is kind of slow and ineffective. And how do you view these people that are selling education online?
The only mentorship course that I've found effective in my life was Tony Robbins' Personal Power 2.
All right.
I mean, that was really valuable because he taught holistic stuff, but you can buy that as like one package and there you go, right?
Okay.
So, I think if you want truly a great mentor, you have to find someone who you want to be, and you got to find out what their problems are and try to help them. And typically you'll find these great mentors at charity events. Like if you want to save the dogs and cats, they're sitting at the front table.
Okay.
And so if you volunteer your time and you offer to help introduce yourself, trade phone numbers, and never you say, can I pick your brain? People hate that. You want to stalk them on social media and on that and see what their needs are. So let's say there's some rich man or woman and they're like, I really want to support saving Make-A-Wish. You message them on Instagram and be like, hey, I'd like to donate to Make-A-Wish. Where should I direct that? Who should I talk to? Or whatever they're supporting. And then send a screenshot of the receipt and send it to them and say, okay, thank you. I gave some money. Then just leave it alone for a little bit, then reach out. Hey, I had a question. I want to grow up and be like you one day. I'm just wondering if I could ask you a couple questions on a quick phone call, maybe 5 minutes, just for some directions, because you really inspire me and I want to help Make-A-Wish more, or save the dogs and cats. Then you've kind of come from what's important to them. Instead of you get these crazy people messaging, can I pick your brain? Hey, I'll buy you a lunch. Yeah, no.
I've personally found a ton of that's how I went to a year of college and absolutely hated it. And I've probably spent $100,000 on courses and coaches, etc. And it's all paid off tenfold. But that said, probably 50% of it was garbage or wasn't good. The other 50% was amazing. How do you feel about them and why don't you sell courses and education?
Most of the course sellers, though, are not business operators themselves, except for selling courses.
Yeah.
Now, if they're really good at selling courses, maybe they can teach you something about selling courses if you want to sell courses.
Yeah.
I think there's just so many other levels of people out there. And even the most of the most amazing course people aren't really at this level. They're kind of like right here, and then maybe they can bring you right here. But why not just save time, go to the charity event, donate to save the dogs and kids, and learn from somebody up here on a more private level? Like the old man mentor who I fixed his radio.
Yeah.
Find a guy like that. Or, here's another hack. Just go to a really bougie nursing home in a very nice area that costs $15,000 a month to live there.
Yeah.
That's a lot, right? And you got plenty of retired folks that just would love to help. If you would visit them once a week, bring them some snacks, they would love to teach you. I've gone to retirement homes literally and have brought them all snacks and goodies or stuffed animals and fun stuff or, balloons or whatever it is. And have met CEOs of billion-dollar companies, 4 or 5-star generals,
wow,
the most amazing people. And their kids are douchebags. I don't want to talk to them. So you should just go visit them.
Yeah, it's so interesting because a lot of these very wealthy people don't get to scratch the itch of the mentorship and actually seeing somebody take action in their own business. But the course sellers, every single day, they're dealing with the people that aren't taking action, and they've got a million DMs and all this stuff. But there's so many private, very rich people that would love to allocate a couple hours a week to you.
Or just go work for them.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, then you're going to see the real deep inner workings of wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because with the course, I'm not saying all courses are bad. And all schools are bad, but you can spend a lot of money not getting a lot of value.
Yeah.
Now, one thing about masterminds, though, is the relationships, though. So, if you're meeting really cool people that are really as hungry as you are and doing well and entrepreneurial, you guys could do some cool stuff together.
Yeah.
Right? So that is of value sometimes.
Yeah.
To go to these things.
It's always most of the people I've talked to, that's college or their MBA, but they're I connected with this guy, a friend of a friend, acquaintance, they connected me with this guy, and then it blew my business. So the connections are certainly.
Same thing with college, man. Go
Yeah.
party and hang out with,
Yeah.
cool people that are making it happen.
It's always the like massive tech companies. It's like, oh yeah, I was just my roommate in college. He was the coder and I was the sales guy.
Yeah. That's great. So college is good for that and having fun, right?
Yeah. And when it comes to investing nowadays, where are you allocated? Are you like 40-40-20? Or are you like, you have tons of real estate? I'd love to hear a breakdown of kind of.
Real estate's probably the majority
Okay.
now, just because of accumulation over 30 years.
Yeah.
Crypto is great and it's grown a lot, so it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Stocks, again, probably a little less than crypto now because crypto is growing,
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, and then businesses, right? But ultimately speaking, my favorite for just like old man money is real estate. It's just slow to accumulate. Mm-hmm. But imagine having like one property you've bought. Let's say you bought it for X number of dollars.
Yeah.
And by the time like you're not going to be running your business as much for, let's say you're 65 years old or 70 or whatever. And you know that you cash flow 700, 800,000 a year just for one location. And you have like 30 of them.
Yeah.
Cash flow, net. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, and you have a property management company who manages it and all that,
And it's a business that will never go out of style.
Yeah, you get tax benefits and all that.
Yeah.
Now, the cool thing, though, is you need big money to buy big buildings, right? Mm-hmm. So the crypto and stocks or sometimes or running your own business is a good way to get some of that risk capital to put it into less risk capital.
Have you ever done any like taking the rent roll to qualify for the loan? Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, so you take your cap rate or whatnot and what your net operating income is, and then you apply to the bank. You say, hey, this is what's going to cash flow, and they give you money, right?
Yeah.
And you can do that.
Have you done it?
No, I don't need to, but you can. One thing people want to look at is if you're a small business person, you want to look into a SBA 504 loan.
Okay.
And that's where you can get in for 10% down, and they'll do your tenant improvements in that loan typically. Super killer. And then you can do like a tax benefit, like cost segregation, and get huge tax write-offs and all kinds of things. So Google SBA 504 and get to learn that even for yourself, man. If you haven't done that yet, that's like a free hack to make a lot of money in real estate.
Very cool. Do you think the opportunity is still there in commercial?
There's more opportunity now in commercial than in a long time because a lot of people's notes where they had low interest rates are becoming due, and they either have to refinance that, just like the U.S. debt, right? But the thing is, if let's say their commercial property is at 3.5% rate, and then they're going up to 5.5%, 6.5%, 7%, wherever they're going to be, they're going to have to pay a significantly amount more. But once you redo the math, they're not collecting enough rents to be profitable anymore. So their net operating income may be negative.
Okay.
I mean, losing money per month.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these projects, I've bought a lot of my real estate projects where guys are getting upside down.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So great opportunity now.
This is going back to earlier, but we have to talk about the PC laptops commercials.
Okay.
How did they come about? Like, how many of them did you make? What was your budget on them, and where did you end up running them? Because I remember as a kid, like so we connected through a mutual connection, and they were like, have you heard of Dan Young? And I was like, I don't know who that is. And then he said he builds gaming computers, and I was still like, I don't know who it is. And then I looked you up and was like, oh, PC laptops. And like all these memories of me as like a 9-year-old kid and these commercials and the old logo, I'm like, I know this business. Like you did such a good job of saturating the market and like the brand awareness.
Yeah.
How did you think about that? And
I just watched like lots of Jackass.
Okay.
Remember that? You guys watch all Jack?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, it's kind of funny, man. It makes you laugh, man. And if you can change people's state of mind in your marketing, make them like laugh a little. Yeah. At first, they're gonna be like, "That's stupid. That's stupid." I remember I used to go with my kids to the movie theater. We used to play it before the movies. Yeah. And people were like, "That's the stupidest commercial." I'm like, "That's a hit. Let's play that one more." Like the more emotionally charged they got. Yeah. Because this was before like TikTok and YouTube and all that. So like, people weren't used to that. Okay. And so our thing was just be absurd because every other commercial that you watched back in the day was boring, right? Mm-hmm. It was just like, come buy our suits, come buy our attorney work, or I'm an accident attorney or whatever. So we just wanted to be absurd. So that was almost like social media without being social media. Like just think how much time people spend doom scrolling for stupid videos. Yeah. And so we just made the stupid videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like the middle ground between like cat videos and advertising. Like,
Yeah, it's just like, I think people need to just not be afraid to look like a fool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I mean, they can be like, you're an idiot. Okay, thanks.
What was your favorite one you ever made?
Dressed like Princess Leia.
Okay.
You know, or or Spock or something kind of.
Can you do the impression? Can you do the like?
Everybody's computers are breaking across the universe. Come to PC Laptops, where we love you. Or don't go to the dark side of the Force. Come to the light side, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Yeah.
And where did you film these?
Typically at like Channel 2, CBS, or usually just there.
Just like green screen, get dressed up.
Green screen, dress up, or in our stores.
Okay.
Sometimes we'd have videographers come in and just do them.
And you run them at the movie theater and where else?
YouTube,
Okay.
Facebook.
That was like the way back in the day of YouTube ads.
But before Facebook, yeah. But Facebook and YouTube were early, and then theaters, and then like at the gym.
Okay.
Like, you're on the treadmill, like Gold's Gym. Remember Gold's Gym? And we'd be on the, you'd be forced to watch our commercials when you're on the elliptical,
Nice.
We're lifting weights.
It must have been, I didn't watch too much TV growing up, so it must have been the movie theaters, like every time you go to the movie theater.
Yeah. Or jazz games.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it'd be a jazz game
Okay.
on the screen. Yeah.
It was all just focused in Utah, right? You didn't really advertise outside of...
We had 2 stores in Vegas, but Vegas market was difficult for us. So like, it's been like 15 years or something.
Okay.
We decided to pull out of Vegas because it was just not profitable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything I haven't asked you about that's relevant to your journey that people should know about?
That's it. I mean, I like to post the journey as it goes. So Instagram, Dan's Millionaire Code, blue check. Maybe put a link in here.
Yeah.
And
always in the show notes.
I'm always telling you kind of what's going on, news-wise, crypto-wise, stock-wise, tech-wise. Yeah.
And we'd love to close out. We ask every guest, what are your 3 favorite Utah businesses that you would recommend or you're always hitting up? Or
Health is huge. So water fusions and Sugar House. You can find them. You can Google them.
are they like a IV bar?
No, it's like you can get like an ashwagandha, lion's mane protein shake type
cool.
of thing. But it's a great hangout. The owner there, DK, is awesome. Just tell him Dan sent you.
Nice.
Cool dude. Small shop.
Okay.
Family owned.
Very
cool. I love that place. I think another one, I like Ready Gunner.
Okay.
Those guys are cool. Ryan owns it.
Oh, they were on your Instagram recently.
Yeah, Willie's cool.
Yeah.
All the guys down there are cool. Though. Willie's funny as heck though.
And it's like a gun store.
Yeah. I mean, you can go buy a pistol, a rifle, or they have a range. You want to go practice.
Nice.
Learn it. So I like
And
those
where's
guys.
that
That's in Orem. They're really cool. I like their range though. It's very cool. It's bougie. So nice people. Bucked Up. Those guys are cool. They were on the podcast I was on for a bit, and those guys are hungry and they execute hard and they're very Utah. So I like those guys. But there's a lot of businesses in Utah that are just amazing. Oh, I got to name another one though. Sure. I really, really like those guys at Sunday's Best.
Oh, that place is amazing.
Yeah, they're open in like airport everywhere, and I like to pop into there all the time with my daughter, and we just grab some brunch.
Oh, it's so good.
But it's like, it's fun. It's like got a good vibe,
Yeah, I'm like, did you overspend on this build out? Because this thing is amazing.
Yeah. So those Sunday's Best.
Yeah, he owns a couple other restaurants too. I think one in Draper, a pizza restaurant.
Yeah. It was an Oak Fire, Oak Fire, something. But it's good. You can't go wrong.
Okay, last question for you. You built and scaled a multi-$100 million business in Utah. What advice do you have for somebody growing a business in Utah, whether they're headquartered here, they're selling to the people here, or they just happen to live here, but everything's online? What's unique about Utah that helped you succeed, and what advice would you give to somebody else?
Utah is a very different type of demographic than, let's say, Vegas or Los Angeles or something like that. People in Utah rely a lot on trust. I think that's critical. People in Utah really appreciate relationships a lot. It's not as superficial. And, I mean, to give you an idea, when I first got here from California, the neighbors were pounding on my door, and I was like, oh, are they pissed like some crazy Chinese dudes moving in or what? I didn't know. And so they came over, and they're like, hey, and they brought me like meatloaf and green Jello or something. And they're like, come to dinner. I'm like, okay. So I go to dinner. They're like, this is my daughter. You guys should go on a date. I'm like, okay. I don't have a car. They're like, you can take our car. I'm like, what the heck? These people are so nice. People in Utah are nice people.
Yeah.
Maybe because they want to baptize you.
Yeah.
But hey, I wish everybody was that nice across the whole country. If everyone treated all their neighbors with love like that, man, holy mackerel, you know. And you got the bad apples in every state, right? But mainly demographic here is pretty go-lucky, friendly, nice people, you know. And I like that vibe. That's why I'm never going back to Los Angeles, you know, because it's Los Angeles is okay, Disneyland maybe, but man, Utah's got fair taxes, free laws, you know. I love it. You go out on Memorial Day, which is today, right?
Yeah.
You got American flags. People are patriotic. Love that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it really feels like old-fashioned America with good values. People want to have a white picket fence, a cute dog, maybe a cat, have a couple kids, be married, and, you know, be a good citizen.
Yeah.
You know? Do what's right. Killer.
Yeah.
I wish the whole world ran that more like that, though. There'd be less death and chaos.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some of these other states are crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like, so with Utah, appeal to that group, that people who want those good values and honesty and, you know, all these things. I think it's important.
Love it. Dan Young, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you for listening to this episode of UtahPreneur with Dan Young of PC Laptops. If you liked Dan's take on business, please share this episode with a friend and check out last week's episode with Bill Reagan, the wife of Julio Reagan. He's the one behind all of the mysterious memorial billboards all over I-15 and all over the country. And as always, follow us on social media. Links are below in the description. This is a wrap on season 1 of UtahPreneur, so we will see you next season. Make sure to check out all the other episodes you may not have listened to earlier this season. There's 23 amazing ones with powerful Utah entrepreneurs.